I'm Mitchie McCaw. Today we're going to look at the breakdown, but we're going to look at it from a defensive point of view. So when you haven't got the ball, you're in the defensive line, and then actually what we do from there. So whether we can put pressure on the ball at the breakdown, try and steal it, or that we just counter-ruck, or we get back in the defensive line. So we'll look at some scenarios about what to look for and the decisions that need to be made. So the first job is obviously to be in the defensive line, is you've got to be a tackler. So you've got to be able to do your job there. When the ball carrier from the opposition come at you, there's usually the first decision, if you're not actually the main tackler, is whether you need to go in and assist. Now there's reasons for having to do that. So the guy beside you is making the tackle and he may not be winning the contact, so you can go and help control that. It might be to stop an offload, so the tackler's gone low, so you come in and stop the ball being offloaded. That's the first decision, so whether you need to assist. The second one is, when the tackle happens, is whether you can actually get in and put pressure on the ball. So when I say pressure, it means either be able to turn it over, so you go in and pinch it, or you get in there, you take the space, you ensure that they've got to commit numbers to win the ball. So the outcome you're looking for there is a sloppy, slow ball for them. The third decision that you have is that there's just no opportunity at all, and you're actually better to not waste yourself and get back into the defensive line for the next breakdown. So what we're going to do, lads, we'll set up the different scenarios. The main one we'll look at is that you're not assisting, but the tackle's been made as to whether there's an opportunity to get in and steal the ball. And usually the times that the opportunity is most open is when you have a really good defensive line, so you knock them over behind the advantage line. So their support players are going to come back in and around. So that usually leaves a window of opportunity to get in and have a ping at the ball. Conversely, quite often when they make a break, they can leave their support behind, and the opportunity can be there is to get in and steal the ball before their support get in. But what we need to see is when the opportunity is there, and then actually the technique once we get there. So what we'll do, we'll set up a couple of back lines with a ball carrier. I'll get in the defensive line, and we'll just have a look at the different scenarios. So in this scenario, we'll look at the decision of when the right time is to make an assist tackle. So we've got a defensive line set up here against an attacking line, and usually it occurs when the tackle happens just either side here. So we'll make sure that it happens just outside me, and we'll look at when I'd go in to assist the tackle and why I would. So it's often to control the contact, or when there's a bit of a wrestle on, our players struggling to make the tackle properly, you can go in and help. So we'll just walk through a scenario and we'll just stop it when we get to that point. Okay, so we're coming up. I'm defending the second fella here, and here. There's a bit of a wrestle going on. Stop there. Now this is the point where the decision's made. Now, a bit of a wrestle, they've got a bit of go forward. What's my impact? My impact is if I hit in here around the ball, I'll show you in a sec, I'm going to tie that ball up in the air for starters, so there can't be an offload, and hopefully 2 feet against two lots of legs against one is going to mean we get some momentum. So from there, I'd come in and hit there, and hopefully we're going to drive him back at some point, and he'll end up on the ground. His support players have got to come back in and around, and that's going to mean we have a good defensive line set up for the next phase with some good line speed. You ready? And off we go. So coming up, I'm tackling this fella here. It's in a bit of a wrestle, and then I can control the contact like that. So that's the first decision that I think is important, is will I be effective if I go in and help tackle? So we just looked at when you'd make an assist tackle. This next scenario, starting from the same spot, is where the man outside me here will make a good legs tackle, so you don't need to assist. And we'll look at the options of what you look for as to whether he's isolated and whether there might be an opportunity to get in on the ball. So we'll get to that point, and then we'll look at where things end up when we get a good line speed and perhaps isolate him behind the advantage line. So away we go. So coming up, we've got good line speed, and the tackle's made. Stop there. Okay, so we've had some good line speed. The tackle's been made. Ball carriers, support players are almost in front of the ball, and I'm in this spot here. So what I'm looking for here is what opportunity have I got to get in and pick the ball up before the support players get in there. So I'm looking for space. And if we look at this scenario here, all I need to do is get into here, and I'm in a good spot. these fellas are going to come right back in. So that opens up a window of opportunity to have a crack at the ball. So that's the first one. We get a good line speed, a good tackle. The ball carrier is slightly isolated. There's a window of opportunity. So we've looked at where the defensive get a good line speed and knock the ball carrier over well behind the advantage line. This is a slightly different one where perhaps the ball carrier makes or gets over the advantage line and leaves the support behind, and that's when a window of opportunity might come about. So we'll look at that scenario here, and we'll stop it when we get to that point just to show what we need to be looking for. So, all right, off we go. So I'm defending here, holding because he's running. Now if we stop here, I'm in a reasonable position because I was defending there, but I'm closer to the breakdown. The closest support player is actually quite a wee way away. So straight away from there, I've only got to come in here and I'm in position to be at the breakdown. You've got to come all the way from where you are at the moment. So that gives an opportunity to get in and have a crack at the ball. So that, as a player in the defensive line, they're the opportunities I'm looking for. Gaps between their support player and their ball carrier that'll give me a chance to get in on the ball. And when you can start picking them up really quickly, you'll know that you're on to have a crack. And I think that's important. Okay, so we've identified a couple of situations where we can see the ball carrier is isolated. And if we look at this one we've got set up here, we've got support players that are a bit further away than I am at the moment. So that opens up the chance to have a crack at the ball. The one thing I will say is that if you're going to have a crack at the ball, you've got to be 100% committed to it. You can't be sort of half and half. You decide you're going to have a go at it, there's a chance, you've got to be 100% committed because obviously you've got to expect contact. And I think from experience, when you're worried about contact or you're not expecting it, that's when you're not as effective. So expect contact, but you're committed totally to the ball. First thing I think is obviously facing down the field. Big thing is to get a really wide base so you can get nice and low, but you're really stable and support your own body weight. And if we talk about who or what the hardest threats to remove when we've got the ball, it's those guys that get nice and low, they're secure in there, and it's really hard to get under and remove. So that's the first thing. Really wide base, really nice and low. We're supporting our own body weight, chin in a nice neutral position, understanding we've probably got a threat coming from there, They're going to try and remove us. So we're in nice and low, we pick up the ball. When our threat, these support players, they're going to invariably arrive, so you've got to expect it. So as you come in, you're nice and tight, you're nice and low. I'm nice and strong. I've hopefully got the ball by that point. I can pick it up. Usually if you get the ball when you're getting hit back, you can take the ball with you as you get blown out of the way. But I think the key thing is wide base, really nice and low, head in a good position, totally committed to the ball, expect contact, and then you're going to be in a really strong position. So I think one of the things that you see often is an opportunity. If you go in at the ball and have a wee peek up as to what's coming, you obviously need to understand that they are coming, but if you look, you've lost the opportunity. So you've got to be fully committed to that. You've made your decision that it's on, you're in there having a crack at the ball. And obviously a ruck can't be formed, so there has to be a space, but you're in there and then you expect contact. And if you expect it, you're going to be hard to move. And that's what the key is. So hopefully you're going to lift the ball and turn it back onto your team. So wide base, committed, nice and low, supporting your own body weight, that's the key. So the third scenario, or the third decision that you're going to make is whether you're actually any good at the breakdown, whether you're going to have any effect at all. So I'll just show you what are the sort of things you look for where you think might be better for me to just get straight back in the defensive line and be ready for the next attack. So if we go through that, so we'll attack on my word and we'll make a tackle and we'll show that. Right, let's go. So the tackle's been made. Have we stopped there? Bang. Now, we've got two support players. They're pretty much, as soon as the tackle's been made, they're in there to support. So if I'm going to come in here, I'm actually wasting myself. I'm going in there and not going to be effective. I've got two really good cleaners in there. Probably a waste of time me going in there. I only take myself out. So the decision I make from here is there an opportunity to assist? No. Is there an opportunity to get onto the ball and affect that? No. So I'm pretty much better to come around here, defend up for the next attack. So simple three things. And if I look at my game, I think probably it's a third. You know, a third of the tackles I have to be an assister. A third of them, I can have a crack at the ball. And probably the other third, I just leave alone. I judge it on effect. So if I can't have an effect on the tackle, I don't tackle. I look for the ball on the ground. If I can't have an effect at slowing the ball down or winning it, then I leave it alone. And it's as simple as that. And if you make those decisions really well each time, you're going to be in the game as much as possible. So get into it, enjoy it out there, and good luck with it all. Thank you.